Okay, so let me show you how I work out how to enter and exit a crypto coin using Newton's wave. So the first thing about Newton's wave, which is this funny shape here, looks like the Loch Ness Monster or something like that, is that everything is divisible by 3, so 3, 6, 12, 15, 18, etc. So from the bottom here, where it's actually bottomed out, Newton's wave bottomed out, I get a count in then. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that tells me, that count, that we're at the bottom of a major bear phase, right? So then what I do, I put a vertical line in there to give me some kind of orientation. So that's on 2 months. So then from there, I'll then come down the time frames to a month to get extra clarity. So there you can see, as you come down, you've got to resync the line there, but nevertheless though, that is where it's actually bottomed out. So let's get another count now just to make sure of that. So we got 1, oh, let's get that again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Brilliant. So in the different time frame, again the number's divisible by 3, which is brilliant, which shows we've got our calculation spot on. So that is the end of that phase. So basically what happens from here is that you're going to get from the bottom here, the red line, which is 6, you're then going to get 7, you're then going to get 8, and you're going to get 9 up on the price action. So if that was the price, it's going to look something like that over the next course of the next few months, the next year. But because Newton's wave precedes price, you actually come in based on the peaks of Newton's wave, not the actual price peaks. So anyway, let me come down again. So just before I do that, you'll notice there's another peak here. Well, this is what we will call peak 7, but we'll look at that with a greater in depth in a minute. So let's come down to 2 weeks now. So there we go. So 2 weeks, so that is where it bottomed out. And now let's come down to 1 week. There we go, look at that. Now we're starting to get a lovely picture forming here. Now this shows me that not only has it finished bottoming out, but also that the horseshoe, which is peak 7, is almost finished, which is brilliant. So in this instance, what I would do is, right, this is on the week. I'm just going to mark these 3 peaks now. That's 1. So what I do is I put that as 1, and so when I come down to the lower time frames here, there we go, we can distinguish between the peaks and what's what, you see. So there we go. So the big thick red line is where it bottomed out of the bear phase for the last year, and that is, funnily enough, this peak here that we're looking at is peak 7. But interestingly, right, this peak here, so if you notice here as well, you've got 1, 2, 3 peaks as it came down the bear phase during the year. But this one here, this peak here, is actually the first peak up. So this is why Newton's wave is basically re-edited, I suppose, Elliot's wave theory. When I say re-edited it, it's because Elliot's wave theory now has proven to be 50 to 60% inaccurate, because since they've discovered this wave, Elliot's wave theory was actually based on price movement, the peaks of the prices. So for example, Elliot's wave was based on these peaks here, right? But behind the scenes, you've got Newton's wave, which are these things here. So because of that, we can rewrite Elliot's wave now and make it more accurate. So based on what I'm just saying to you, although that's the 3rd peak down, in reality, it's actually the first peak up on the other side. So what will happen is you'll get number 2 peak up here, and the price action basically is like this. So there's that peak. So this is what's happening now. You're getting that peak, and that peak, right? Which will make number 2. So this is why Newton's wave is so fantastic. So that's 1, and this peak here is 1 of, I have to excuse my writing, 1 of 3. Look at that. How cool is that? Okay, so let's move on. Let's go down to another time frame now. So now what we ideally want to do is come in at the bottom of this peak here, which will be somewhere here. So how do we find out where to come in? Well, let me show you. So now we're going to come down to 6 days, and we'll just get our alignments here. Okay, that's 6 days. Now we'll come down to 4 days. There we go. Good. As you come down, you'll have to realign the peaks here. Okay, so there we go. Put another one in. Now we're coming down to 2 days. There we go. Now we're starting to see the whole picture. So this entire pattern here will tell a story now. Now we're going to come down to 1 day, and we're going to identify how far along this peak is. In fact, I'm just going to go back to the 2-day time frame. There we go. All right, so here we go. There we go. So let's get a count now on Newton's wave here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Brilliant. So that tells me that that one here is the end. So I'm just going to make that red now, make it thicker. That is the actual end of the movement of 1 of 2. Remember? So here, this peak here, let me do it again. So that is the major first peak up. And now remember what I said, we're going to get 1, 2, 3 up, which will take us to 2. So this bit here that we've just seen, as I said, you'd have to excuse my writing, right? This is 1 of 2, right? So let me do that again. Look, 1 of 2. Okay, so now on 1 of 2, we know it bottomed out here, and now it's actually starting here, right? This is number 7, which we call the horseshoe. So this one here is number 1, right, of 3 before we get to the 2. So let me show you what I mean by that. So basically, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to get 2 up here. And so this one has done this one, okay, and basically, let me move that along. All right, that has done that. Now this is starting, if we were looking at the peak, this bit here on Newton's wave would be about here on the rise, right? So in total, Newton's peak is going to do now 2 more before it gets to the top of 2 of 2. So that is 6, okay, which is number 1. Then we've got 7, 8, 9. All right, and so when Newton's wave gets to the bottom of 7 here, which is here, I will then jump on that, because then I'll get the rise up on 8 and 9, which will then take me to 2 of, 2. So that is how I use Newton's wave to determine when and when not to come in to any crypto coins I'm trading. So now we know where the first peak up is. You're now going to ask me, how do you work out what the price is going to go to? Well, it's simple. We get the Fibonacci retracement tool, and then we put that on there, and we put that on there, and we scrunch it up a bit. Then we get the horizontal line, put it on top of the blue line, We can then make it bigger again and get rid of the Fibonacci tool, and there you go. That is where the second peak is going to reach. So basically it's going to look like something like this. It's going to look something like that before it starts the third peak up there. So what we would do, we would call that the second peak up. There we go. How about that? So there we go. That is how Newton's wave works. That's why it's so accurate, and that's why it's so popular. So I hope this tutorial helped you.